Hi, it's Zoe. Have you ever read a book that completely changed the way that you look at things? Well, I did just recently, and the book Joyful, The Surprising Power of Ordinary Things to Create Extraordinary Happiness by Ingrid Fetell is one of those books, and I'm super excited to share this book with you. Let's do it.
Welcome to the Zoe Routh Leadership Podcast, your source of strategies and insights to make you a better leader. Influence, improve, inspire.
I can't remember where I saw the recommendation for this book, and I am so glad that I picked it up and have plowed through this thing. The book Joyful is Ingrid Fetell-Lee's assessment of what it takes to create joy in our lives. She started with a premise or an idea that things around us can cause us to feel joyful. And it kind of goes against the grain. We've been taught for so long that happiness is an inside job and that we need to choose how we feel. What she discovered in her extensive research, actually, is that the physical world can create a sense of joy and happiness. Happiness she defines as being a little bit more long-term than the fleeting experience of joy or feeling joyful. What I love about this book is that it takes a deep consideration of our physical environment. Well, for a long time I've known that environments are critical for development. It's one of the key premises I learned yonks ago, almost 20 years ago, with Thomas Leonard, who was the founder of Coach U and Coachville University. And when I was a newbie coach, we learned this key principle that environments can facilitate our evolution. You can actually engineer your evolution by how you craft your environments around you. And there's a number of different kinds of environments. I kind of break them down into 4 types of environments. There's those that are internal and those that are external. The internal ones are your beliefs and ideas. So you can create environments that foster new beliefs. And you can use that doing affirmations. You can do it through personal scrutiny of the beliefs that are running your life. But you can be deliberate about those beliefs and therefore the actions you take and therefore the results you get. So beliefs is definitely one set of environments that you need to pay attention to. The second set of internal environments are ideas. And I love to encourage leaders to read widely and broadly to get new ideas, to get exposed to different concepts of being, doing, and thinking. It's how we expand, it's how we make new connections, it's how we be innovative. And that's why I encourage people to go into magazine stores and pick up a magazine you would otherwise not pick up. So if you're a foodie, chances are you'd always be picking up food magazines. Why not pick up a car magazine and just see what's in there? And you get new ideas and new sparks of creativity as a result. The external environments, so we had beliefs and ideas as the first 2 set of environments. The external environments are twofold. One are social ones, so networks. And I've done a couple of interviews around this, one with Janine Garner on the podcast talking about It's Who You Know, her latest book, and how we can craft our networks deliberately around us to support us. Fabulous book, highly recommend it. So that's social environments, and we can be deliberate and conscious about who we invite into our world and who we can tap to help support our growth. But the other external environment is a physical one. It's about the space around us. And this is what Ingrid Lee focuses on in her book, Joyful. So she spent quite a long time categorizing or observing what made her happy. So she kind of scrapbooked it. She took out different pictures and she looked for patterns and she did lots of analysis. And she came up with 10 key principles. Now, before I get to those 10 key principles, I also wanted to do a shout out to another amazing book which had a significant impact on me, and that's Marie Kondo's book, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, the Japanese Art of Decluttering and Organizing. And who knew that this kind of approach to life could have such a big impact? She believes that tidying is like a meditation, and that tidying can enhance your well-being. So it's not just a regular, dump everything on the floor, sort through, and then chuck things that you don't need and give away others that others might find useful and keep what you want. that is the pragmatic aspect of it. But her methodology is more about bringing conscious attention to what is in your world. And when she talks about clothes, this is the part that really hit home for me. She said, take everything out of your closet, put it in a big pile, and then item by item, pick up the item and ask yourself, what is its purpose? And how do I feel when I'm wearing this thing? And I love that. 2 questions, what is its purpose and how do I feel? Because everything in our environment gives us a message and makes us feel something. So if you're wearing something that gives you a message that says something like, you're ugly and you feel miserable, why the hell do you keep that in your closet? And then she takes, if you watch her videos, it's pretty cool. She shows you how to fold things beautifully. And in the folding, it's not just about folding, it's about communing with that object. Now, it sounds a bit crazy, right, to commune with the underpants when you're folding them up. But it's more about really connecting with the objects in your world and what they are allowing you or encouraging you to feel. And when you take that kind of deliberate, conscious attention to your world, things start to change and shift. And you become deeply masterful of your emotions and deeply masterful of your state. So I love Marie Kondo's approach to that. And she basically says, do an audit and purge of your house and only have things in there which are purposeful and give you joy. And I love that. And it's quite an exercise. So you have to go bit by bit through that. And periodically you have to go through and purge out the things that have accumulated. But she says you only really need to do a massive purge of your home once. Because basically you bring this conscious awareness to everything that you bring into your home after that. Does it have a purpose and do I feel joyful about it? So that's Marie Kondo's book, On to Joyful. I love this book. It's awesome. So her key principles, and these are simple things that you can bring to your own world, either into your office or to your home or both, that can create sparks of joy. Not surprising, or maybe it is surprising, the first categorization or codification of the things in our external world that bring us joy is color. She says pops of color in your world give you energy. So in the book she talks about, painting your walls different colors. If you're renegade and daring enough to paint your walls bright green or vivid orange, I personally find that a bit garish, and I like pops of color instead. So a beautiful bunch of flowers or a colorful pillow or something to that effect. My neighbors have this fantastic sign in their living room, and it's a neon light. It says, the adventure continues, and it's something that's important to them, that's saying they had it made up. But it's this pop of color, and light is the next thing she also talks about, that creates a sense of joy when you see it. It's just energizing. Paying attention to light and the kind of light fixtures you have is the second part of this one. All right. She then talks about texture and patterns, and they create a sense of abundance. So if color creates energy, texture creates a sense of abundance. And I'm thinking here of a birch tree forest. Then like beautiful trees in North America where the birch is white and it's patterned, and if you have a sea of that, it makes you feel joyful to look at that. Or here in Canberra, when we have Floriad and there's a sea of both color and tulips, you get both the energy of the color and then that sense of texture. And varying degree of patterns and texture gives us a sense of joy. It draws our eye in. And so I think that's pretty interesting when you think about it. And I'm looking around my kitchen at the moment, and we've got textured tiles, and they bring me great joy. They're unusual, apparently, because a lot of tiles are flat and shiny, and ours are black and textured, and it's kind of cool. And I like the texture of our hardwood floors as well. It gives you a sense of abundance. All right, so principle number 3 is views of nature create a sense of freedom and therefore joy. I knew that long ago. It's why I'm obsessively an outdoorsy person, and I love the view out to my garden and out to the mountains beyond. Getting out into nature is one of the things that gives me great joy. So if you don't have a view of nature, you can get pictures of nature. So having screensavers of a beach or a forest also helps create that sense of freedom. For our homes, the interesting thing, like the views of nature makes us feel expanded, and having plants in your home can make us feel more grounded and cozy, therefore safe, and therefore free. And so one of the things when I was reading this book, I made a note to myself, right? More plants in my house, because I only have one room that has plants, and there's none upstairs. And I think that's crazy. I have a great view of the garden, but no plant inside. So that sense of living creature, having living creatures around us is also really helpful. So one of our next principles is symmetry creates harmony. We're really attracted to harmony as human beings. And symmetry is a way of experiencing that. And if you've ever been to the Taj Mahal, like I have, in India, you can really appreciate the sense of joy that comes from it. Even if you haven't seen it live, just Google some pictures of the Taj Mahal. It's a remarkable building. It is testament to symmetry, and it's just built perfectly. And the idea behind this mausoleum is that the emperor who, I think it was an emperor, might have been a Mughal, who built the Taj Mahal in ivory, wanted to do one as a mirror image to that in ebony for his own funeral. And his son said that's a crazy amount of money to waste on two dead people, and captured his father and imprisoned him and stopped him from building the second one. So all we have is the original one, which is spectacular. And if you see it, it is a perfect expression of symmetry. And that's sort of why we're attracted to beautiful patterns. Spirals are another example of that beautiful symmetry. And I'm looking at a picture right now of a spiral staircase, and it just draws your eye in. It also explains, this attraction to symmetry also explains people's obsessive habit of, and this is not me, that's for sure, of, for example, when you peg out clothes on the washing line, of having the same colored pegs for an item of clothing. Now, I originally thought that was crazy. Like, what a huge waste of time. Just pegs on a clothesline. But now when I think about it as an expression of symmetry, it makes sense to me now that why people would want to have blue-colored pegs pegging up a shirt and have it all in a row, and to organize things in a way that are pleasing to the eye. And that's why you have folks who would line things up on a bookshelf neatly. That sense of symmetry brings us joy. So when I came across this picture of these coat hangers, they're all the same color, but there's a couple of them that are going opposite directions, and it bothers me. I had no idea that these kinds of things could bother me, but it lacks symmetry, and I just want to go into that picture and turn the coat hangers around so they're all facing the same way. There's a sense of satisfaction that comes from putting things in order, and that is the symmetry one. So her next principle is that curves create play. So curves and circles and balloons and bubbles all create that sense of joyful expression of play. I think it's fascinating how this shows up in architecture as well. And if you think about Sydney, the city of Sydney, it's got two very iconic structures there that echo this. You have the Sydney Harbour Bridge, which is a beautiful curved structure. And then you have, of course, the Sydney Opera House, which is the shell-like curved building. And I love this as a picture because it really sort of invokes that sense of playfulness and freedom and joy. And I think that's one of the reasons why Sydney is so famous around the world, is because it's so beautiful with all these curvaceous, iconic buildings. Plus, it's got the natural view out to the sea, so it's got that as a bonus as well. Curved rooms, curved furniture apparently can spark creativity as well. So curved chairs, bean bags, that's the reason why they have the damn bean bags in all those crazy workplaces, because it sparks creativity. So having curves can actually be create a sense of play and discovery. She says surprise is another thing that allows us spontaneous bouts of joy. So weird stuff. If you ever come across like a weird sculpture or a weird painting, and it kind of just go, what the? And it catches you off guard. And I think about that too, in some people's houses, you go and you see this crazy art and you're like, what the hell is that? And that sense of delight can create a sense of joy. And you can see it in all sorts of different places. I found this picture on the web of these two doorways of I guess it was a townhouse, like two doors side by side that go into two different townhouses. And they were painted these spectacular images of a tree of life, and one's green and one's blue and one's red. They're just spectacular. So they've got color and they've got surprise and they've got weirdness to them because you're not quite sure what the hell's going on in the scene that they've painted. And it's kind of delightful because it cracks you out of the coma of same, and I like that. All right, principle number 7 is vertical creates transcendence. And what Lee discovered is that when you have vertical patterns or things that draw our eye upwards, it creates a sense of feeling connected to something bigger than ourselves, whether that's a vertical stripes in the case of painting a room, or long hanging plants or tall plants can give you a sense of transcendence, or spectacular views up to the cosmos or out to a mountainscape. That kind of sense of verticalness can give us a sense of awe and wonder, which creates joy. And I think if you have spaces which draw your attention upwards, it can create that. All right, so hanging plants, this is on, so a lot of my to-dos on this book are to do with plants and some color. I think I need some more pop of color. But beautiful hanging, trailing plants are a way of creating that sense of transcendence. It's why we get attracted to hot air balloons, because that sense of loftiness and elevation is there for us. Magic. She says magic creates a sense of awe as well. So if you have things in your world that are kind of magical, and examples of that are dream catchers or hanging crystals that play with light or anything that's kind of shimmery, that can create a sense of awe and wonder as well. So maybe a little Buddha statue or crystals or a vaporizer or something like that can create excitement. Mirrors have a way of doing that too. So circular mirrors, so if you can go curved and circular, that can create a sense of awe and wonder. Disco balls, right? Disco balls. It's kind of like magical play of light, can be really effective. And I think about this too, when you're looking at circles, why did Apple choose to make a big, massive ring? Well, I think that circular creativity thing is a key component. It's really different. So it sparks creativity and a sense of awe and wonder. Number 9, and this is a fun one, is sparkles create a sense of celebration. Sparkles and balloons and big things. And I'm laughing because I'm looking at my nail polish right now, and it's like pink sparkles. So I've got color and I've got sparkles, so it gives me a sense of celebration. Sequins, there's a reason why wedding dresses have these little crystals built into them, or sequins, or why Christmas decorations have lots of little sparkly things on it. It gives us a sense of rejoicing. So there's ways that we can do that in our own environment too. And the last one is that sense of renewal. And the way that we capture that is through flowers. That sense of bittersweetness of flowers, beautiful sweetness in their blooming and a little bit of bitterness as well, because we know that it's all temporary. So when we have flowers in our garden, which is why I love spring so much, it reminds us of that sense of beginning again, and that the temporary, beautiful, nostalgic aspect of everything is so fleeting. So bunches of flowers can create that sense. So this book really helped me to really see the world quite differently. So here's a quick list of what you can do to tweak your environment to create a sense of joy and inspiration. Views of nature, either through pictures or through windows. Indoor plants, tall ones, hanging ones, just plants in general. Color, balloons, circles, flowers. Think about texture and patterns and verticals and symmetry. Get those clothes pegs organized and get your clothes hangers going the right way. Curves, circles, and mirrors, crystals and lights, shimmer and glitter, and big things to celebrate with. I love this book. I will put a link to it in the show notes, which will be at zoerouth.com/podcast/joyful. I'll also put a link there to Marie Kondo's book. And to the other book I mentioned by Janine Garner, it's who you know. So happy reinventing yourself by adjusting your environment. In the meantime, live well, lead well.